Hello, so today I'll show you how serial data transmission is used and how it works. But before I start this video, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because I make really cool stuff. Make sure you check out my other videos. And now let's begin with this thing. Okay, so over here you can see I have this. I have many things to show you. So I'll go one by one. Okay, so over here you can see this 1 pixel. Well, this is 1 bit of data, so I'll start with 1. So if I click this button right now, as you can see, nothing happens because this lamp was off. But if I turn back over here, you can see it's just one observer that gets pushed and pulses this, and then a repeater which is detected by another observer, and that sends a signal into this line. And we can select whether the signal should be sent or not by flicking this lever. So now if I click this, you can see the lamp flashed, but it didn't really store the data of this pixel. And that's because, well, the single pulse that went through it was too fast for this thing to hold the data, and so this thing didn't work. So now I'll show you how exactly you can fix this problem. So over here you can see it's just exactly similar to this thing, but with one additional part. Just one. You can see this thing has this line over here which gets pulsed by the observer. We just have this one additional part, which is this repeater into this block, and that's it. That's all that you need to fix this thing. So what exactly happens over here is the observer that gets pushed also sends a pulse prior to the pulse of the second observer. And I'll just this part is not necessary, I'll just cancel it. Okay, so as you can see now, if I click this button, the data gets sent and stored over here. And I'll just reset this. Okay, and if I send this again, you can see it gets sent and stored. And that's because we are actually sending 2 pulses, one for activating the piston and second the data itself. And that's how this thing functions. So if I turn this off and send, you can see nothing gets stored, and that's how this thing functions. But over here you can see this reset button. I click this and it resets. But if I flick this on and then send the data, then the reset button won't work. So in the next design I will also show you how you can create a perfect reset button for this type of systems. So now let's go increase from 1 bit to 2 bit. So as you can see here, the exact same design. Observer gets pushed, sends a pulse over here, sends a signal over here, signal detected by the observer, and depending on whether the block below is pushed or pulled, signal gets sent. And well, the same thing, repeater locks and stuff like that. So the signal gets sent over here, the piston pushes and locks the repeater at its place. But there is one more thing into this design, and that's the new reset system. So I'll just show you. If I click this over here, we get the data. Okay, and if I now click the reset button, as you can see over here, it gets reset. So what exactly happened over here is, you can see this block actually has a sticky piston below over here. And what that sticky piston does is, let me just show down over here, right below this button runs a redstone line that just runs into the sticky piston and powers it when the button is clicked. And what the sticky piston does is, whenever the signal is in this repeater, it will stop powering the piston so that the reset can function. So I'll just show you. Okay, so once we do this, you can see this repeater is powering this block, and the piston will stay extended. So if I now push this block, it will get unpowered and the redstone block will be pushed back. And that's how this thing works. So the same thing when you do 4 bits, the exact same pattern. Just increase the number of repeaters and observer, and yeah, pretty much that's it for 4-bit. Just increase the number of repeaters, the signal flows over here, it gets merged into this line, then goes through this repeater line, gets into the piston. From piston to the blocks get pushed and all the repeaters get locked. So if I send this, you can see the exact same pattern, and if I click this, well, reset. So yeah, that's how this thing works. Now let's move on to the bigger design, which is, well, 8-bit. Now there is not much different. it's almost the same. It's pretty much the same. The encoder is pretty much the same, just yeah, observer and that same sticky piston lines. Then in the decoder we have this, the repeaters run into this block, the redstone block gets pushed, and they power this line, which powers these repeaters and lock other repeaters at their position. Now there's one exception over here that you can see is this block. So if we remove this block, you can see this repeater doesn't get powered, so that's why we have to place this block. And except that, everything is just same, in the exact same design. You send this, okay, and then you get everything in the same pattern, and then you hit the reset button and everything clears. That's pretty much it. Now the next thing is you can actually stack these upon each other, and this is exactly how I made my first 8x8 serial display. So over here you can see this observer powers this block, the blocks below them, and we select whether the block is present or not. But over here, due to lack of space, we do it a little different way. Instead of observers, we directly use the repeaters that were running on top of the observers. So over here we select whether the piston is the block is pushed or not, and then when this observer fires, it sends one pulse right down into this line, and that line just goes into the decoder, and it also sends the pulse into this line, where it just travels one by one into each of these the blocks that we push. And once the signal travels into this block, it powers this line in center, and this line then also gets merged into the line that was powered by the observer previously, and then all of that runs on top over here, and from top to bottom it goes over here, and then pretty much the same thing, the redstone block gets pushed. And yeah, so I'll just show you how this thing looks in action. If I click this button, yeah, pretty much the same thing, only it's stacked on top of each other. And that's how I made my 8x8 display. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Join my Discord server if you want help or world downloads, or you just need to learn more. Just join the Discord server. It's fun and easy to explain things over there. And I guess that's it for today. So yeah, see you next time.